go. Again.
Damn!
Alright everybody, we are back. We got a brand new movie. Today we're going to be going over the movie Extraction. Extraction made its debut on the streaming service Netflix in 2020, and if I'm being honest with you, it ended up being pretty amazing actually. And what made the movie work well, in my opinion, is the action scenes really grounded it. I definitely think Chris Hemsworth deserves his respect for this role. I mean, the acting is, it is what it is for an action movie. At the points where the story needs it, he kind of carries a role, but his athleticism as an actor really kind of lent to the credibility of that position. And if you don't know, Chris Hemsworth has actually been doing martial arts training for a good while. So you'll see clips of him doing pad work and training kickboxing, and you can see that he actually puts in the time for his roles when it comes to the training aspect, because Chris is known for putting in just an obscene amount of work in his roles, whether it's his role as Hulk Hogan or his role as Thor in the MCU. He is dedicated to getting his body in the peak position possible for each role. Chris Hemsworth partnered up with the director and fight choreographer for this film, which was Sam Hargrave. You might recognize his name from such low-budget indie films as The Hunger Games, Suicide Squad, Atomic Blonde, Avengers: Infinity War. So with his experience, Sam brought a lot of know-how to the action sequences, and I think he makes it work really well. So I think in the hands of a lot of other people, this movie might not work the same way. Between Chris and Sam working together, they pull this movie off. So in an interview with Sam Hargrave and Chris Hemsworth, one of the things they talked about is they wanted the first action sequence in this movie to really set the pace and to show the personality of the character they were trying to portray. So they really wanted to be fast-paced, explosive, and show a range of skill sets from using empty hand tactics to firearms and improvised weapons as the situation demands. And one of the cool things about this is, if you look at some of these slams and takedowns on this first action scene, is the surface is actually not a hard concrete surface. It's actually a padded surface. They did this because they wanted to make sure they captured the realistic aspect, and they didn't want to have the stuntmen wearing elbow pads or any kind of protective gear that would take away from the realism of the scene. But anyway, that's enough talking. Let's go ahead. Let's get into this. Let's roll. He does basically a redirection of the firearm from here with his left hand. I think he does it from kneeling, but I'm not kneeling for this. So he does redirection with his left hand, and he chops in with his right. He turns this into kind of a modified drop senagi. So as he chops in right here, these level changes, and then he's bringing him over his shoulder for the control point right there. So it's a cool little modified version of it in real life. I don't know if I would do that with a standing opponent with a gun. Alright, next one we're going to take a look at is a side control escape. And actually, this is one we trained with Boz Rutan some years back. This is not necessarily a side control escape that I would recommend for everybody. You got to be strong and explosive and a little bit early to make it work, but I think it's a completely viable defense, and I've done it myself in training. But basically, you're looking to get double underhooks and scooping out the backside to get up and spin around for control in the back. That's what it looks like is. Boom. As he's getting ready to tap me, he's me on my back, right? I've got both hands kind of pinned underneath, so that's an option. Activating the hips, I bump, and I'm gonna shoot both scoops up, boom, and then shoot out the back. And I can use that to get up if I need to strike if we're doing MMA. In this case, he spins back around, and that's where he hits that gator roll, right? Alright, so I'm here with Andrew. Next thing we're taking a look at is basically, he's got him turtled up here, right? He's got his hips in nice and close for that hip ride. He's using a magic grip. Basically, I'm shooting an underhook underneath, and I'm grabbing my opponent's wrist and I'm pinning it inside for control, right? And this hand, he's got the head control where he's driving his head down. Now from here, Chris Hemsworth is a big, strong guy. He can drive his head down and get probably a lot out of that. But if he's fighting somebody just as strong or stronger and they're able to power up, a great alternative option is if he powers up out of that position, his head comes up, and then now we can transition right into the choke, and they can finish with a single hand here, or reinforce with a short grip, or go deep into the rear naked choke from there. So that magic grip was a great tool for you BJJ players out there to utilize in your ground control. Alright, so this time we're going to take a look at the position where now he had a kneel belly control, right? So basically he's got his knee or his shin across his opponent's body, his stomach, or his rib cage. In this case, a lot of times we'll go to the partner's hips to take some of the pressure off. But he's maintaining that control point. Now the problem is, it's tenuous control at best, especially for real life dynamic fights. Because what tends to happen is you got somebody that's on the bottom and moving and resisting and fighting back. As I'm trying to maintain control over here, he gets a good shift, he moves his hips, he gets my back immediately, and now he's going in for a choke, right? And that's exactly what we see happen right there in that sequence, right? So one more time, back down, please. Here, we get the kneel belly control, he's striking, he spins, takes us back, and he ends up going right to the attack, right? Alright, let's take a look at this one right here. Right now we're taking a look at the hip throw, or the ogoshi, as you call it in judo. And essentially what happens is, Chris Hemsworth, he was down for the count for a second, he comes back up and he rushes back in, but David Harbour's a big guy, and I think there's some realism here in terms of him being able to redirect his energy with his size. So as he comes back in, he basically takes an underhook, he turns his hips in, and he uses his energy, and it kind of keeps him going with a basic hip throw or hip toss, right? So one more time, just redirecting his opponent's energy using his own leverage. Ogoshi is a forward throw, and if you charge in head first, as he does in this scene, that momentum's going that way, so all it is a redirection of that energy for the hip toss. Also, I'd love to be able to bring you these videos, so if you get a moment, please like, comment, and subscribe, because that helps to continue to drive me in making these videos. Thanks for the support. Peace.